Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first ever episode of Bird Talk. We'd like to introduce our hosts. My name is Elijah Hernandez.
My name is Michael Simpson.
My name is Christian Compolongo.
And our special guest today is Shahe something.
Thank you guys for having me on.
So, Shahe, would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
All right, well, I am 21 years old. I'm a Buchanan alumni, class of 2015. I've been with the robotics team since 2011, and I was on the team as a student for 3.5 years, and then I'm back as a mentor and assistant coach now for the last 3.5 years. So that's about the short and sweet of it. Yeah.
Yeah, a real big veteran on the team.
Yeah, supposed to helping out on the ST side to build robots and all that good stuff.
You know, the big question I've always wondered, because you're always here all the time, you're taking time out of, your everyday life, your social life, whatever, is
Whatever
happening.
that is, yeah.
What kept you around here?
Honestly, the people. I mean, it's a lot of fun, obviously, to mess with the tools and have fun and explore and learn. But really, when it comes down to it at the end of the day, it's always the people that make it enjoyable. Not even just obviously the students are a blast to be around. Everyone's really excited and happy to be here. There's a really good, camaraderie in the group. But a lot of the adult mentors and stuff you meet too are just a fun group of like-minded people, and it really helps keep cohesion and team morale up. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a different perspective coming from a student and then someone who's already so many years out of the program. It's a whole different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And for Christian and Michael, who are younger than me, I view things differently than them. Mm-hmm. And then the freshmen on the team, they view things differently than them. Yeah. And it's odd. It just ends up encapsulating everything.
Yeah. I definitely agree that why I keep coming to every meeting is definitely the people here. So I definitely agree with you that the people really do help make this team what it is today.
Yeah. And whenever you have any questions, they're always happy to answer them and help you. Yep.
And an odd thing, okay, so a lot of the people are normal, everyday people, but sometimes you end up meeting very odd and peculiar people, very funny and special people. And I think, have you ever met anyone and had a very funny story?
Oh, God. Yeah. There's too many to count, really. I mean, funny story of, anyone on the team in particular, or?
Yeah, the team.
Anybody from the team, just a little story that you might remember.
Oh, man. God, there's so many. It's like asking me to pick my favorite kid.
That's obviously Christian.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. That'd be a bit of a tough sell. No, interesting stories about people on the team. So we had a student on the team. His name was, I probably shouldn't say his name.
Yeah,
but he was an interesting guy, and he just had a very interesting way of talking and breaking concepts down, and so we had a nickname for him. His name was Folders, and what we did, because everything to him was just a series of folders for whatever reason. And one day we're sitting there talking about him, and then it ends up that we find out that he was sleeping in the basement at CART during breaks and things like that. He'd just go down there and take a nap, I guess.
Well,
yeah, it was
how did he get into the basement?
Therein lies the hilarity of it. It's just a mystery of how he managed to pull this off year after year, and people just never realized. I guess people just weren't paying attention or something. But yeah.
See,
So I wonder how he passed his class.
How did you guys figure this out?
Oh, it was just something that went around schools. You always hear about it. Yeah, exactly right.
The kid that slept in the basement at CART?
Yeah, it was.
That sleeps in the basement?
Yeah, interesting
still there
times.
today.
He's still there. Some say to this day he's still there, yeah.
I remember, not necessarily, it was more about two people. I went to Denny's with them one time, right? And it
Classic robotics Denny's runs, yeah.
It was right after Capital Cities.
And what year was this?
Oh, it was actually pretty recent. This year.
You mean like a week ago?
Like a week ago.
so the most recent Denny's trip.
It may or may not have included fellow hosts Christian and Michael.
Lay
So-
it on me. I wasn't there.
No, okay,
Oh,
so we were all, hungry, tired. We wanted to get some Wendy's. No,
Wendy's.
Denny's. Denny's.
Wrong name. Sorry.
We wanted to get some Denny's, right? And then Christian has like this fantastic idea. He's like, Elijah, let's share a milkshake, man.
Yep, I'm Christian.
Oh no!
Somehow you guys find a way to mix each other up
I'm sorry.
every single time.
No, Michael.
Thank you.
Michael wanted to share a milkshake with me and fries. And I was like, bet, I was really
go for
excited. I was really excited. I was like, we could share this experience together as a team.
Good memory right here.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
bonding.
Very wholesome.
Keeps a real good memory.
So, we're going about our sipping of the
Sipping
milkshake.
of the milkshake.
And I see Christian across from me. And every time I see Christian, something about his curly hair, it's just like, dang, hilarity. Because, even before shooting this podcast, I had to not look at him. I had to close my eyes completely just so I couldn't see Christian. Because every time, he just gives me the look. And I'm like, man, Christian,
Christian's
you really
goofy.
yeah. He just had to do it to him.
All right, so the
So-
milkshake story. So
Okay,
you're,
right?
so you're sipping this milkshake, and every once in a while you shoot this glance at Christian.
And
what
Michael,
happens then?
And we both have our own straws.
So
Right.
we're doing the romantic, real up close to each other.
Oh,
drinking
yeah,
the
yeah,
milkshake.
yeah.
Like our noses are almost touching pretty much. And we're looking right into each other's eyes while we drink the milkshake.
Sounds pretty intense.
No, yeah.
So then Elijah casually glances over at Christian
Oh no.
and just out of nowhere spits the milkshake everywhere, all over the table, all over Christian and me and the food.
It was everywhere.
It was everywhere.
I honestly couldn't breathe. I really wish I had my inhaler on me. Because I couldn't breathe at all.
Oh man, we were all laughing so hard.
And then
Me
I
Jenna
think
was
we've been
sitting right
banned
there.
from multiple Denny's at this point from you guys doing dumb things.
I don't know why we haven't been banned yet.
Be surprised if we haven't been.
Well, Michael and I walked up to get our order of people.
Or our seat.
Our
They
seat.
asked us how much. They said, "How large is your party?" And I said, "I don't know. We're a pretty big party." And so I turn around to Christian. I go, "Does 18 sound good?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" I say, 18. And the waiter goes, "All right." And then she turns around to another waitress, and she goes, "All right, we need a table for 18." And the woman goes, "All right, wait, 18?" And she got the most shocked look on her face. And she goes, "Yeah, 18." And then later they come back and they seat us when more people are there. And then they always reference to us as the big party. Because when I had initially said, we're a pretty big party, and that name kind of stuck. So whenever we had orders, we were just the big party.
The big party. Yeah. Works in more ways than one, I suppose, then, huh?
We didn't even get to 18. We only got to
It was 13. We had 13 people.
That's your final head count.
And one of them wasn't even on the team. He was just there.
It's just some guy. Wait, what? Hang
No,
on.
it's Ulysses.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He popped up and I was like, oh, cool.
Fair enough.
That's what happens sometimes. It really be like that.
Oh
And,
my God.
there's actually, I remember hearing a story. It was actually, you're involved about it. It was
Oh God.
Patrick, and it had to do something with a shirt of his.
Oh no, the shirt story, the dreaded shirt story. All right, so picture this. It's Champs 2016? Yeah, 2016.
Year after we won?
Year after we won, yeah, 25th year after then. So 2016, I just graduated. It was my first year mentoring, and we got the Champs. So we fly out there. And Patrick, on the first day, had traded for his beloved driver's 971 shirt, his black 971 shirt, which he very much enjoyed and loved that shirt. He traded it for, I think, a polo or something. So he really liked the shirt, put it in his bag. He kept going on nonstop about how much he loved the shirt. So naturally, we had to mess with it, like instantly as soon as he put it away out of sight. So what's the first thing we do? Well, one of his roommates takes a bottle of cologne. So he starts spraying with a bunch of cologne, and it just starts to, it smells bad, but it's not unbearable, So we thought we'd leave well enough alone, but no, one of his other roommates pulled out a bottle of tea tree oil, which, if you're not familiar with it, has a very, very strong, very, very intense smell to it, especially the oil.
And did that mix with the cologne?
It mixed. He sprayed it all over poor Patrick's shirt. It was pretty bad at that point. It was smelling the room up pretty good, and we were sure the hallway was getting some good whiffs of it too. So we found the first airtight container we could and sealed it away, which was, of course, the room's refrigerator. So we throw this shirt in the refrigerator and leave it for 2 days while we're competing and doing, various things in St. Louis. And then the night comes where we think we should probably tell Patrick where his shirt is, because he's been looking around for it and he's not finding it. And so we start dropping some subtle hints like, hey, didn't you have some leftovers in the fridge or something? And he goes, yeah, but I want to find my shirt first. And we're like, just look in the refrigerator, Patrick. He's like, why? I'm trying to find my shirt first. And we're just like, look in the refrigerator. Just open it up. And so he gets kind of paranoid and he's like, I really don't want to open up the refrigerator now. Why are you guys trying to get me to open up the refrigerator? And one of the other teammates that year walks in and just gets tired of the suspense, and so he just rips the refrigerator door open, and then the smell hits, and the entire room is just disgusted. The room is engulfed in this horrific odor of fermented cologne and tea tree oil. The door was open to the room, so the hallway was instantly also engulfed in this horrific smell. And so Patrick takes his shirt and he's like, what's wrong with it? And then he smells it and he just throws it out of the room and it hits the hallway with this thud that could only come from an object that's slightly frozen. This shirt had not only been covered in cologne and tea tree oil, but whatever water was in either of those two things had frozen.
Okay, so it was like throwing a chairman's binder right at the wall, basically.
Yeah, it was like, imagine you soaked a cloth in water and then let it sit in the freezer for 30 minutes and you threw it. It was tough to move. Whatever was in there, it was starting to freeze. Anyway, so it hits the wall and he just looks up and he's so angry. He's not amused with our antics that we'd pulled. And and that about sums it up. The chaos that ensued afterwards was basically that, another teammate had left a bottle of Sprite, a plastic bottle of Sprite, in the fridge, and had the morbid curiosity to wonder what had happened to this poor bottle of Sprite. So what does he do? He takes the bottle, cracks it open, and takes a sip. Well, plastic, as some of you may know, is a semi-permeable membrane. So this just disgusting stench had permeated through the bottle into this Sprite, and this poor student takes a sip and just went straight for the bathroom. I don't even know what horrors happened in there, but yeah, and just we had to evacuate that room and just leave the door open. Unfortunately, we turned all the fans on in the room, the extractor fan in the bathroom. We ended up trying to wash his shirt because we felt bad, so we take it into the bathroom and we fill the tub up and we soak the shirt, and it loosens up. It was very clearly frozen, so you put in some warm water and loosened up a little. But then we wrung it out and it was just this dark green, just water coming out of the shirt. And we were just oh, okay, this is pretty bad. So we wrung it out 9 or 10 times and it was still coming out dirty. And we're all right, we probably should just throw this in the washing machine downstairs. So we washed it for him, and allegedly, I've yet to smell it, but allegedly to this day it still smells like tea tree oil. So take that with a grain of salt, I guess.
I remember, what was it? It was my first competition that I'd ever went to. It was Sacramento. So I remember going. I was so excited because I'm a chairman's presenter, and I was like, whoa, this is my first time. I'm so excited. This is it. I was in the vibe. So I remember I had to take a shower, and you see the bath. Okay. I feel in my defense, the floor was extremely slippery. It was extremely slippery.
I know where this is going already.
And you see, I'm I'm doing, there's soap, as most showers have.
Yeah.
So I take a step, and then I immediately, okay, not immediately fall down, but I try to save myself first. I grab on the curtain, but it only makes a Spider-Man swinging effect, because it dragged me, because of the gravity of it, and I hit I make okay. My roommate said he heard a loud thump. And it was because I hit my head right on the toilet. Really hard too. I remember right after I hit it, I just laid down. I was just I was really dead.
Yeah, that's called a concussion, Elijah.
I was
take a quick power nap.
yeah. I was like, man, this hurts a lot. Wild. So, then I hear one of my roommates at the time, he was like, hey, Elijah, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, it's all good. Right? So I finish my shower, get dressed, and then, I come out and they're like, whoa, what's that on your head? And I'm like, what do you mean?
Oh my God.
And then I check, they give me a phone and they take a photo of it. There's a big, huge bump on my head.
Did you not look in the mirror getting out of the
No,
bathroom?
because all the vapors.
Oh.
I thought I was all good. I was like, okay, man.
Little did you know.
Yeah. So then they're like, okay, we gotta call, our teacher advisor, and we bring him in, and then he looks right at me, and he's like, whoa, it looked really, really bad, and I even I actually had to have a phone call with my mom and our teacher advisor at the same time, trying to explain exactly what happened, and it's a very odd explanation of so yeah, Mom, I sort of just slipped in the shower and gave myself a concussion. That's an odd explanation.
I figured working with the robots would be dangerous.
No.
It's staying in the hotels.
The shower part is the most
There's the trick.
Yeah, and part of our presentation that year was a helmet.
Oh.
Actually, wait, I'll get to that part after. Okay, I thought I was gonna forget the entire chairman's presentation that we had. So I was like, Ivan, okay, did I miss anything out of the chairman's presentation? I would keep on doing it again and again and again. And every time I messed up, I'm like, I'm forgetting everything. I have amnesia. Something is wrong, And then the next day, the big bruise, right? But you couldn't see it because of the helmet. But the thing is, I had it, I wouldn't say I have a big head, but, I had to adjust the size of the helmet to make sure it stayed on, right? So I have it on, and it's pressing against my head the entire time. It was a horrible feeling. I mean, it was a fun presentation, but it was just such an odd obstacle I didn't think I would have to face. They don't tell you when
You mean you didn't take a contingency plan for falling in the shower and giving yourself a giant lump on the head?
No, not at all. That wasn't exactly my plan.
We tried so hard to prepare you guys for that presentation, and we just couldn't do it.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me of a stress test for chairmans. So, just to prepare, contingencies of what may happen during an average. Well, not an average, just during
Certainly
a
not an
presentation.
average. Definitely not an average presentation.
During a presentation in general, we all came up. We began our presentation, and that's when the craziness started. Because we had some of our mentors and some students watching us, and during that, they would do the wildest things. I remember specifically, while I was speaking, a loaf of bread directly chucked at me, and the goal is
loaf, huh?
A loaf, no, yeah, a full loaf too. And also it was sort of old too, so it wasn't soft.
Stale bread, just
It was
hard stale bread.
Yeah, so I had to dodge it a little bit, and then I remember our old CEO, Sophie, right? She got a whole I think it was an entire bottle of water poured on her head, we all still had to keep going because if we didn't get to the presentation in completion, then we would have to restart all over again, and all those kinds of things. And I remember while I was speaking, everybody yelled at the exact same time, it was what else? There was other just things after things that they were doing. Oh, I remember one of them. Okay, so one of the well, okay, so before the presentation starts, we shake the judges' hands. And they were pretending to be judges. So I go shake their hand. One of them has lotion in their hand.
Oh, no.
So you hear like this like weird like that.
Oh, no.
You still gotta keep on shaking the hand. And the thing is, I would also have to walk to the other mentors too.
Oh,
that
no.
didn't have lotion, and they just the weirdest look is like, what is this? I don't know. Like, it was so odd.
Got it from the other guy. I don't know what this is.
But yeah, that was definitely something I personally didn't prepare for. And I mean, that also leads me to a question. Is there anything that, Shahe, well, for all of you, that you guys haven't had to prepare for when coming into robotics?
Like situations we've had where we rephrase your question.
Is there anything like that when you join the program, you're like, okay, I'd never have to do this?
Oh, yeah, all kinds of stuff. There've been just all kinds of like weird scenarios. I mean, it's hard to say on the technical side because it all just kind of flies over most people's heads. When you say an odd situation, most people wouldn't know what an odd situation consists of in robot world, right? Because it's like just full of technical jargon and terms like that. But all kinds of just odd situations where you build up this toolbox of kind of tips and tricks that you learn over the years, and then you can apply them all the time. Like the other day, I was helping out Michael with a project. We needed to tension up some chain, and we couldn't get this bolt out. The bolt had stripped out. And I was like, all right, Michael, wait here for 2 minutes. I'll be right back. So I went and I got some tools, and Michael's looking at me like with this weird look, like, what are you doing? Like this weird amalgam of tools I had grabbed. It was like a bit to loosen the bolt that was the wrong size and the wrong shape, and a hammer. And so he's just like, what is this? What is happening here? So I take the bit and I put it on the bolt and I start beating on it with a hammer till it drives in, and then I can twist the bolt out, to take out the strip bolt. And the whole time Mike was just staring at me like, what are you doing? What is happening here? But then I just showed him the bolt that I took out, and I was like, well, there you go. I mean, I got it, right?
Yep.
And it's just things like that where you end up with like really weird scenarios where you just kind of pick up tricks like that to learn to use, and then other people just stare at you like an idiot, thinking you're crazy, and it's just like, well, all right, I guess that works. Like, yeah, it's kind of hard to come up with things like that for the ST side, because you don't just like, yeah, I was tightening some bolts and someone threw a pie at me or something, or, threw a loaf of bread at me or coated me in water, like.
And what would you say, Shahe, like, is the most important skill that you use while working in the shop?
Most important skill, teamwork, easy. Like, it's one thing to know your stuff technically and know know how to operate all the tools and know how to use the programs, things like that we do, like SolidWorks, HSM, operating all the heavy machinery in there. But all of that is useless if you can't communicate properly with everyone else on the team and, work as a team to get things done. Because as much as we'd like to think so, there's no way it's a one-man show here. So teamwork is easily, and teamwork and communication are usually the two most important things about working in the shop.
And speaking of good teamwork, there's this one dynamic duo on our team that is very, very close together, Christian and Michael.
What?
And
Wow.
Really?
yeah, I mean, like, how would you guys describe that bond, that relationship of working together? Because you guys work together on almost everything.
Haven't you guys known each other for like a long
I've been
time?
good friends with Christian for the last 8 years.
And our
Yeah.
parents knew each other before we were born.
Before we were born.
So you're 8 years. That might seem like a super long time, but you guys are both what?
Both 15.
15. So
So I
it's
mean,
like
we
over
both met
half
when-
your lives.
Yeah,
You
we
guys
both
have
met
known
when
each
we were
other.
7, and
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of just been like best friends since then. So we do a lot together, and I kind of hope to continue that path throughout
Not
high
drink
school.
milkshakes apparently.
Oh,
right?
man.
Well, he was sharing pancakes with Skylar, so
Oh.
Elijah
yeah.
felt a little left out. So I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
fair,
no.
that's fair.
Me and
Absolutely.
Christian still sat next to each other,
Right.
And
Oh,
we
yeah.
obviously invited him to help drink the milkshake with us.
Fair enough.
And
fair
that's
enough.
what caused
And
the...
that's the whole.
Your presence is what set off Elijah.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
I went up to Elijah. I'm like, Elijah, can I have a drink of the milkshake? And he's like, yeah, come on in here. And so I went to go in, and he just exploded, and it just went
What was a
everywhere.
trap.
It was just like,
He lured me in.
Lured you in like a siren and covered you in milkshake.
Yeah.
What kind of milkshake was it?
It's vanilla.
Vanilla, yeah.
That's a solid choice. With fries? Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah, and that was
We were
good.
all wearing
good.
black shirts.
Oh god.
We all had the black.
Oh, the team shirts.
The
Yeah.
black
T-shirts.
t-shirts.
Of course.
White milkshake everywhere.
Yeah.
That was good.
Jenna was sitting next to Elijah, and she just started dying.
Oh,
Oh god.
The 4 of us were all cracking up.
You bet we're all you guys were probably all exhausted too, so I'm sure that doesn't help.
Yeah, it was really just.
It was really hard to breathe.
It was a mess.
man.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll have Elijah.
Yeah, and those, I don't know, kind of stories, you know, and we'll hear like the Patrick story, and it's like, you know, these things have been happening, you know, like for a while
Since the
almost.
beginning of time.
So-
Yeah, imagine that you could put a bunch of high schoolers in a room together and
Yeah.
funny things happen, right?
So what would you say is the biggest thing that's changed about our team since you've joined?
Since I've joined, the biggest thing that's changed. A couple things have changed. So the team has changed. It's been an interesting last few years to watch everything change. Definitely the team culture has changed. You know, people are a lot more friendly with each other. And not to say that it was necessarily hostile before, but it's definitely more friendly than it was previously.
The family
And
culture.
yeah, it's definitely more of a family of a team than it was before. And you know, that element was there before, but it was, you know, you had to be part of a certain group, and it was a lot more exclusive than what it is now, which is really good. And then, you know, another part of the team has changed is we've just become a lot more proficient at passing on skills to others, you know, rather than just building. You know, we've been at the same competitive level for a while, but one thing I'm noticing is that our kids are getting a lot more skilled.
Those experiences that they're all sharing together.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and we're getting a lot better at creating students that are more competent while staying at the same competitive level.
All right, so to wrap it up here, I just wanted to say that we can all pretty much agree that it's definitely this team. It definitely feels like on a sports team, you're friends with everybody, but with what like time we spend together and how much we work together and collaborate, this team definitely feels more like a family than just friends, and I feel like we could all agree on that.
Yeah, definitely.
And definitely it's the memories we share and the funny things we do together and and the pranks we pull on each other is definitely I feel is the focal point of why I love this team so much and
Right.
Yeah.
why I love being a part of this team.
And there's no really other team that you can get all these experiences with your friends, quote unquote family.
You can do sports and stuff, but that's
It's a whole different
Not
thing.
the same, right?
it's just not the same as this.
And on that note, I'd really like to say thank you to everybody watching, and we'd hope for you to subscribe. Thanks for listening to Bird Talk.